Welcome back, everyone. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about a very karmic astrology transit. Yes, we are having a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces happening on September 17th, 2024. It is right between Saturn and Neptune, who are also in Pisces, obviously with the Sun in Virgo exactly opposite. In this video, I'm going to bring in some insights about this lunar eclipse transit, what it may mean for each individual, and how we can work through this period of time with an intention of healing without getting too bogged down in the fog per se, or without losing track of the larger term elements, as it's very possible during this time to get very caught up on fine-tuned details, trying to kind of like divide out small elements of the experience, and to kind of lose track of what the larger path or larger goal is. So yes, let's break down all of the elements of this transit that are happening. So firstly, I want to note that this lunar eclipse is happening on the mutable axis of Pisces and Virgo. In fact, this is kind of interesting because usually eclipses happen in the signs of the nodes, but every once in a while they will happen like right near the cusp of the nodal axis. So this eclipse is a little bit off, all right, off of the typical axis as it would usually be in Libra and Aries. But yes, this one is in Virgo and Pisces, which that means that this lunar eclipse is really going to have us thinking much more forward into the future, because of course the nodes will move into Virgo and Pisces next. So it's kind of like this eclipse will be giving us a lot of downloads about maybe even the next 3 years of our life, without getting too stuck in the past or too stuck on previous things. It's a very forward thinking eclipse. It's trying to get details together in our lives that connect to stronger futures and connect to more, yes, that's what I keep getting, forward thinking actions and philosophies. So yes, of course, the Virgo-Pisces axis is very strong right now. I would also remind you all that the mutable signs have been really active lately. Of course, we have Jupiter in Gemini, which is actually hitting all of this by T-square, quite close, within 5 degrees. So not exact, but nonetheless close. And we had those quite chaotic Jupiter-Saturn squares in the month of August, which have broken up, but still, yes, by 5 degrees they're in. So we also have Mercury trailing behind the Sun. So it's a very mutable period of time, which is creating a certain sideline experience or even generating maybe unexpected results, as we also have Pluto moving back into the sign of Capricorn for the final time, which to me is the most poignant macro transit that we're having, which is just a very different flavor than all of this mutable energy. As it's also been, I think, maybe curious for everyone what the meaning of Neptune and Saturn in Pisces is. This eclipse on this axis should begin to open that up for us a little bit. As I feel what it does is it firmly takes us out of the previous paradigms, of the previous Saturn signs. So some of the stories that we've been going through over the last few years may begin to culminate here, and we're actually going to maybe enter into another phase or enter into a very different kind of chapter now. And it's going to be very poetic. It's going to be very much working in the psychological and belief realm, right, with the sign of Pisces and Virgo. I feel that this lunar eclipse in Pisces, to really get into the channeling for what this means here in late September of 2024, this is a change in dream space for some people. Like perhaps one dream comes in and another goes out, as the eclipse motions always signal something coming in and something going out. And when they're lunar eclipses, these tend to be internal emotions, beliefs, and the interior space. So there's some kind of internal shift of motivation that is going to be very perceptible during this later part of September. And on September 17th, on the exact day of the eclipse, I think what we're going to see is that there's been something coming with us for a really long time, or there's been some type of long-running belief or long-running dream, a long-running motivation, long-running psychological construct that now is deflating or disappearing, and perhaps there's even like a void or a vacuum that we can detect here. And the eclipse is going to begin a replacement mechanism. So things which have gone or things which we've lost are now going to begin a process of replacement or a process of shifting. As one of the main messages that has been coming up over these last few months has been the importance of recognizing the mechanisms in our lives, the importance of recognizing what we've been building for a long time, the structures, the habits, the fortitude, and the self as well that we've been building, and how then that is being utilized, or how that is being proportioned, how that is expressing. So this lunar eclipse, I think, is going to be a catalyst in this longer dialogue that we've been having about consolidating a self, consolidating our own belief systems, consolidating goals, purpose, and connectivity with, and I would say actually further, connectivity of that to the outside world and the expression of that to the exterior or toward other people. So yes, this is a testing time. As what we will also see with this lunar eclipse in Pisces is, for some people, complexes, right? Now, I definitely urge you all to go over to my Patreon page, which I will link below, and check out the September 2024 benevolence post, as we talked for about 45 minutes, okay, about complexes and about how the month of September 2024 is really highlighting and illuminating how complexes are working in our lives. Like, for example, I feel that the choices that I make now will somehow gain me respect in the future. That's a big complex right now. Like, I don't feel respected now, but I'm gonna somehow do something in this moment that like gains me respect in the future. Very kind of egotistical complex, yes. But also sort of like long-running complexes that are tied to dreams and self-actualization. This is all very much in the realm of Pisces. Also emotional fulfillment, okay? Healing some type of emotional wound, healing from previous traumatic experiences. You know, the way that our minds, or the ways that our psychological structure creates a path forward, or creates a series of events that we consciously understand to move from those points of pain to more healed places. So it kind of feels like a bridge to me as well, as Saturn in Pisces is archetypally kind of like a bridge. Of course, the sign of Pisces is about water, and specifically quite, in some cases, tumultuous water, or very powerful currents, very uncontrollable currents. And I feel that Saturn in that sign could be a bridge, it could be a dam, it could be some type of infrastructure that attempts to shift or change the sometimes restraint that the water element puts on people. Okay, so trying to harness larger spheres of energy is a part of Saturn in Pisces, and this lunar eclipse could be a cutting point there. So like maybe bridge issues or dam issues, some types of issues with infrastructure that try to harness or change the current of water. So that could be happening physically during this time, but at a more energetic and personal level, yeah, we can see that we have to take a look at what we're harnessing in our life, what we're summoning, the energy that it takes to get things done in our lives, what it takes, for example, to make money in our lives, how our businesses are functioning, how our jobs are functioning, also how we're handling the resources in our lives, and how we are not just harnessing the resources, but how we're facilitating flow of resources in our lives. This is very much what this lunar eclipse in Pisces and the solar eclipse that's coming, I think it's either the 2nd or 3rd of October. Do subscribe below, as I will make a video about that. Yeah, this is what we're going to be dealing with here. So, what I also think will happen during this time is people may have emotional experiences that change their behavior with money and resources. I think that people will start to handle resources differently. There could be more frugality coming because of this. Also, with Pluto having gone back into 29 degrees Capricorn, which is a very frugal and austere area of the zodiac. People are going to feel that they can be empowered through saving more or through spending less. Yes, there could be, I'm not going to say like a recession kind of energy, but I just think that there could be a change in collective psychology about spending. And I think that people might just cut back quite a bit here and start to really hold their resources differently. Though I also think it's more poetic in some cases than physical resources. I think it very much has to do with life force energy. And of course, we can have a dialogue about how, money or material things can be sort of a symbol for that. But I really think that this is going to transcend those things here too, especially with Neptune and it being both Neptune and Saturn sort of sandwiching this lunar eclipse in Pisces. It's such a huge deal for the eclipse to be off the nodal axis and to be happening right between Neptune and Saturn. Right between them. It's so interesting. Also, Nessus, we can't forget. I have talked about this in some previous videos. Having the minor asteroid of Nessus also involved in this lunar eclipse. There's something about the way that we hold ourselves. There's something about the way that we employ patience, the way that we reserve our own energy sometimes, the way that we don't just give everything away. There's a circumspect kind of energy here, I feel, or there's a lesson in being more circumspect for some people. There's a lesson in precision as well, as this is not particularly a precise transit, but I feel that the surrounding astrology is showing us how to be more masterfully reserved, or how to retain, retention, something about retention with this transit, retaining information or retaining services, okay, also just like retaining life force energy without succumbing to some type of stagnation. So that's, I think, a major question here and something to reflect on, perhaps something to journal about, is how can I retain more of my own energy? How can I not just hemorrhage energy out? As that's a crisis right now. That's a collective crisis, the hemorrhaging of money, the hemorrhaging of energy, not having a lot left over for the self, hemorrhaging attention as well, hemorrhaging focus, hemorrhaging empathy, okay? That's very strong, and that's why you have sort of a zombie crisis here as well, where people are so drained, which I've talked about in the Pluto return video, which I'll link below too. If I remember, you can always click over to my channel and type that in and find it. In the Pluto return video, that was something that I felt that certainly people in the US, but also globally, were going through, was a certain journey with feeling drained, or feeling like they don't have anything to give, or feeling also kind of apathetic or disconnected from meaning. And this lunar eclipse is addressing that really strongly, y'all. There's an opportunity here during this time to correct some of that if we gave it some attention. If we just kind of sat in silence here, I think that we could think about, what can I do to have more of my own energy for me, and not, given to someone else unfairly. As there could also be violations, I feel, during this time. There could be something that feels violated. Like, I feel so many people are like, my money isn't allowed to belong to me because of what I have to pay for rent, or what I have to pay, for XYZ. Like, I've earned this, but, it's not allowed to be mine. And there's a lot of pain around that. And that's not just money. That's also like life force energy. Like, there's a very strong, I think, energy of vampirism that is perceptible here. And again, something that about that can be addressed with this transit, especially with, you see it's very interesting, the sun being sandwiched between Mercury and the South Node, and then the moon being sandwiched between Saturn, Neptune, and Nessus. I could interpret that as people just being really kind of like boxed in or caught between walls. All right, so there's a walling in. There's also there's a way that people have to think about how things sit with other people. Like, people can't be too anarchic here, as there is a very strong importance placed on integration and making sure that choices are not just good for one person, but good for a lot of people. There's a lot more there's a lot more of a feeling of not being an island so much. But the message that I was trying to get to with that is, it kind of feels like we have a good opportunity here to address how we're basically budgeting our energy, and a good budget. Okay, it's a great time to set a good budget here. It's a great time to become stronger through a better budget, or to become more honed. Okay, honing resources better, honing our life force energy better. Really knowing when we're participating in something that we don't have to. Okay, spending money we don't have to spend. Recognizing when someone's taking too much from us, or setting perhaps stronger boundaries during this time, like having times of day where we're guaranteed less an emergency or something, that we are just resting, or we're regaining energy. As I feel that there is a great, I feel this lunar eclipse to be more positive than negative, actually, because it's going to have us kind of remembering the treasured elements of ourselves. I feel that something about the moon being right between Saturn and Neptune, it's kind of like, this is the treasured feeling that your soul has as a person. Allow yourself to build real structures in your life that facilitate you to know who you are, to know what treasures you're holding inside, and to not repress that or to blind yourself to that, as perhaps some of these macro forces that might feel very draining here might sort of be like having us look another direction. Like, don't look at what's important to you. Don't look at the treasured part of yourself inside. Like, try to really buy something for yourself, or try to find it outside, or try to, go into debt for something, and then you'll meet who you are. So like, it's very much about, I think, dematerializing some of the circumstances here, and understanding also then how, through dematerializing our attention, so that means like not being so caught up in consumerism all the time, not being so materialistic or hedonistic, and rather seeing or feeling the internal parts of ourselves that are not contingent on materialism, and then allowing that to channel through time and reflection into the material. So it's like, maybe in real life here, in the mundane, this would look like stopping focusing so much on the material, and then re-entering that zone in time, being able to create sort of a reality that is a lot more connected to your soul journey than perhaps the current or previous one was. Another thing about this transit is, how can I explain in words? It's kind of hard to explain in words, but I feel like the ethereal realm, the prayer life, Pisces lunar eclipse with Neptune and Saturn, it feels like our spiritual realm, our psychic space, our meditation realm would be very emphasized here, maybe cleaning that up a little bit, or just spending or having more time to meditate, to pray. Also time in art, all right, so songwriting, painting, if you have any type of artistic talents or inclinations, I think it would be important to be there during this time, as well as focusing on spirituality, philosophy. It's less materialistic, okay? And I do definitely feel that this lunar eclipse could be, oh, this is so good. This is so good. This lunar eclipse in Pisces could be a period of time where people realize that some of my material pursuits, or some of my reliance on, or over-reliance on the material, is preventing the soul level or artistic level or spiritual level development that I need. So there's a rebalancing that will be indicated throughout this transit. And I think with the solar eclipse, so like beginning of October, so like first and even second week of October, we'll probably be implementing that more there, but those feelings are coming through here. So I hope you guys will spend some time during September 17th and maybe that entire week in this general period of time, you know, opening up to like, what would it mean for me to be more self-actualized in a more soul level spiritual sense, aside from the material. And of course, we don't want to forget the material. We don't want to become out of touch with the material, but could it be balanced a little bit better? Okay. As there's a lot of beautiful room for healing, healing of goals, healing of, any type of obstacles or blocks that we have in relationship to purpose, giving our souls what they need, and also trying to get out of certain complexes that we have that are preventative, okay, to actually having these types of internal dialogues and having this clarity that is needed here. Anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this little chat about the lunar eclipse. Check the description box below. This channel is on Patreon. Come check out the September 2024 benevolence stream, which was about 45 minutes long. It was really nice. I'll link it below. Also subscribe. I will be making a solar eclipse video for when that comes in early October. And have a wonderful transit. Much love. Bye.